Hello everyone, and welcome back. Once again, we are in Czechia by the Vltava River. We are approaching a spot that was bustling with life just yesterday, an ice hole. On these freezing days, these windows in the water become a magnet for our feathered friends. Yesterday, there were a few ducks here that had separated from the large flock resting nearby under the bridge. But today, silence. The ice hole is empty. Birds are practical creatures. If there is no food, or if the water becomes too deep or dangerous, they don't waste any time. You might wonder, where did they go? The answer is just around the corner. Look over there, under the bridge. That is where life is truly thriving right now. Thanks to the unique currents and protection from the wind, a massive flock has gathered there, where a large expanse of open water remains. Most of our friends from yesterday have moved there, where the conditions for survival are best, and where many people pass by to feed them. Nature always knows where to move, and we continue to witness these small, daily miracles. Take a look at the completely frozen river. The water has stood still, locked in thick ice and covered with a fluffy blanket of snow. At first glance, everything seems motionless, but nature can be treacherous. Look at these tracks. Someone brave, or perhaps too bold, decided to cross the river directly. It's a dangerous gamble, as the current erodes the ice from beneath, making it thick in one spot and as thin as paper in another. Yet, while some take risks, children find their joy here. The banks have turned into perfect sledding hills, winter atmosphere at its finest. Now, let me show you footage from another spot where we see a new scene on our frozen river. People on skis. This is a very popular activity in these parts. It might seem dangerous, but from a physics perspective, skis are much safer than a regular walk. Thanks to the larger surface area, a person's weight is distributed evenly, and the pressure on the ice is significantly reduced. Still, don't let your guard down. A river is always a river, and ice remains a fickle element. We see countless tracks on the snow. There's a certain psychology at play here. People watch one another. If someone has already crossed or skated through, it creates a feeling that if they can do it, so can I. But remember, every step onto the ice is a risk, and that confidence lasts only until the first crack. Be careful, especially where the water is deep. Ahead of us, we can see a dam. This place is a real boundary. Up to the dam, the river looks firmly locked in ice, even though the depth here is quite significant. But beyond the dam, the scene changes dramatically. For almost a kilometer ahead, there is hardly any ice at all. I don't know what it looks like farther on, as I didn't go any further. As we can see, there is ice right next to the dam, and about 25 meters away from it, the water is swirling. In this whirlpool, there is a piece of ice several meters in diameter, constantly spinning in the current. A little farther downstream, we can see the river covered with ice again, about 10 to 15 meters wide, and then only open water. Why does this happen? It's all because of the strong, turbulent current. As the water falls from the height of the dam, it becomes nasisheno-kisnem, oxygen-rich, constantly mixes, and simply doesn't have time to freeze, even during severe frost. This contrast between the quiet, frozen stretch of the river and the powerful, open-flowing water reminds us how different the same river can be. Now we return to the birds and move down under the bridge. In winter, this is where life along the river becomes most concentrated. I have brought some bread and special bird feed, food that becomes especially important for birds during the cold season. Beneath the bridge, almost in the middle of the river, people occasionally throw food down from above. The moment it touches the water, the birds react instantly. Dozens of ducks gather in one place, and the calm surface of the river suddenly turns into a swirl of movement and splashing. Often, One duck manages to grab an entire piece of food and tries to swim away with it, but escape is rarely easy. The others immediately notice the prize and a chase begins. The piece of food passes from one duck to another until it finally disappears completely. Swans have a certain advantage in this struggle. Their long necks allow them to reach the food more quickly, and their large size helps them handle bigger pieces with ease. They move more slowly and calmly, almost indifferent to the commotion around them. Ducks, on the other hand, are confident and agile in the water. Every new piece of food triggers another wave of excitement. Again and again, the water begins to churn, reminding us that even in winter, the river remains full of life. Now someone pours fine feed into the water, perhaps grain or wheat. The ducks immediately lower their beaks, carefully searching the surface and the riverbed. Not a single crumb is ignored, revealing just how well these birds have adapted to the challenges of winter. Here we can see the ducks bathing in the water. One of the drakes is carefully taking a series of water baths. He repeatedly lowers his head beneath the surface, then lifts it again, sending fine droplets across his feathers. With each movement, he cleans and refreshes his plumage. This behavior plays an important role in maintaining the condition of the feathers, helping them stay clean, insulated, and water repellent. Even in cold conditions, ducks continue these routines, showing just how well adapted they are to life on the river. We descend again closer to the water, to where the birds have gathered. Here, near the shore, they are so used to people that they take food almost from our hands. The swans swim very close and behave calmly. Some of them even allow themselves to be stroked. Ducks also stick around between the swans, trying to seize the moment and snatch their share of the food. At first, the swans were wary of food from our hands, but it is worth trying one, and the fear quickly disappears. After that, the bird confidently takes food again and again. The long neck gives swans a clear advantage. They can stand at a distance and easily reach the food. However, their beak is strong, and they do not always clearly distinguish where the food is and where the fingers are. The swan grabs everything it sees in front of it, takes it in its beak, and pulls it towards itself. The bite can be quite noticeable, although this is part of their natural behavior. Not everyone dares to feed swans from their hands. Some people are afraid of this very bite. But over time, it becomes clear that the birds have become completely braver. They have gathered near the feeding place. Several swans stand nearby and calmly take food in turns, not running away anywhere. I also tried to pick one of them up in my arms, but this immediately caused a loud reaction. The bird made a noise, started flapping its wings, and I let it go. Here, however, the limit of trust remains. Ducks behave no less boldly. They also willingly grab food directly from the hands. All this shows how accustomed these birds are to the presence of a person. They have become almost tame, but at the same time, this is a way of survival in difficult winter conditions. These are very beautiful birds. Watching them up close is a real pleasure, especially when you see how closely their lives are intertwined with the lives of people. Now we create a proper feeding area for the birds right on the water. This is special bird feed, a mixture of grain and various seeds. As we can see, the birds clearly enjoy it. The moment the feed is scattered, real excitement begins, because the food is loose and plentiful. Almost every bird, nearly every duck, is able to find something to eat. Unlike large pieces of bread, there's no single prize to fight over. The food is evenly available. One drake approaches very closely and curiously starts pulling at my shoelaces as if trying to untie them. However, this experiment doesn't seem to satisfy him, and he quickly loses interest. Nearby, we can see swans lowering their heads deeper into the water, continuing to search for food along the riverbed. Even with feed available, they still follow their natural foraging instincts. Unfortunately, this moment was not recorded, but earlier there was a rather striking scene. One of the swans stepped out onto the ice and accidentally stood on the head of a drake. The swan didn't even notice. The poor duck struggled and flapped beneath him until the swan finally moved on and released him. It looked almost like a display of hierarchy, larger, older birds unintentionally dominating the smaller ones. Nature does not follow rules of fairness, but it always reveals its true character. Today, we are observing the behavior of birds in their natural environment. Instead of the usual bread, which can be harmful, I decided to offer them a little variety. I have whole pieces of kiwi peel, and small blackberries, lingonberries, which taste a little sour. On land, ducks eat berries reluctantly, but in the water, their activity increases significantly. There, they easily look for and choose each berry. Swans show a special interest in kiwi. They take it straight from your hands, but then often wash it down with water. Probably the sourness of the fruit confuses them a little. This small observation shows that birds can enjoy not only grain or bread, they willingly try fruits and berries, which adds variety to their diet. The environment, water and grass are a natural space where birds interact with food, show curiosity, and hone their survival skills. Sometimes small changes in the diet can reveal new aspects of the behavior of these amazing creatures. Well, that's the end of the feeding. Until next time, be sure to subscribe to our channel, like, and write your comment. This will help us promote the video on YouTube. And I ran to shoot new videos.